So anti-immigrant and anti-immigration sentiment, restrictionist sentiment in various guises, had been a really powerful current in Republican politics. And there were, every now and again, there was a flash in the pan. There was someone who would run on this, but, would never penetrate, would never break through. And Trump is someone who was able to really capitalize on it. And again, I don't actually think it was necessarily about the policy specifics, but it was, I am listening to you. I am listening to you, and this immigration issue is a synecdoche for a ton of other issues where there are people who are not listening to you. They are not respecting you. They are not taking your concerns here seriously. And I will. And I think that was hugely powerful. And of course, it applied in a bunch of other domains too, with regard to trade, with regard to China and the threat that it poses, the idea of an elite that is selling out our country. Those themes were there. It was visible, and Obama was the one who capitalized on them in 2012, ambivalently. So that was, to me, what was so fascinating.
You mean by going after Romney's corporate raiding and outsourcing?
Exactly.
Right. No, there was some sort of proto-Trumpism in the way that Obama ran against Romney as sort of an embodiment of borderless anti-patriotic capitalism.
The Obama-Trump voters didn't change. It's the coalitions that changed around them.
But to me, that power that Trump had, one, was substantially different from the vision that we were offering. If you go back, it was, in the end, just a much more powerful story, right? Like, we thought we had this story about, here's how the government can stand up for people who work, people who raise families, all of these things. I think there was potency in that story, and that it would have helped Rudy Giuliani in 2012. It would have helped Marco Rubio in 2016. But Trump just blew it up bigger in the way that you describe. He folded in the entire post 1991 globalization push. He folded in the outsourcing of U.S. jobs to China.
And the ethnic and demographic transformation of the country.
Right.
And, against a backdrop of collapsing birth rates and this deep intergenerational tension that stems from that, he put it together.
Right. He put it together, but he also did so in a way that, certainly from my perspective in 2016, was often malignant, right? I think I wrote a column at that time describing Trumpism as a kind of dark mirror universe version of Grand New Party, right? Where he was making a pitch to the kind of voters we wanted the Republican Party to make a pitch to. But it wasn't just more sweeping, it was more demagogic. And there was this strong white identity politics component that sort of liberal critics were not wrong to see in it. Now, I think there was always an underestimation, not everywhere on the left, but among many liberals, of how important economics was to Trump's appeal. But in the end, what he did electorally was not in that election to build the pan-ethnic working-class Republican Party. He boosted the Republican share of white working-class voters beyond what the Romney campaign had imagined possible.
In the right competitive states.
In the right
yes.
competitive states. He flipped the Midwest, but he won more electorally important votes, and he won the election without a popular vote majority. Yep. But I think it was reasonable to look in that moment from our perspective and say, okay, Trump did a version of what we'd urged on the Republican Party, but there was both something clearly toxic about the way he did it, and it didn't build a new majority. Donald Trump didn't come into office in 2016 with majority support. He didn't complete the realignment. He just boosted a particular part of the working class share of the GOP coalition. What do you think?
No, that all sounds exactly right. This was a very strange moment for both of us because we literally were saying that, look, if you do not embrace our path, there will be a demagogue who will capitalize on this discontent, on this rupture between, call it the conservative elite, and the small c conservative majority, or what we saw as an incipient or potential conservative majority. We were both in different ways wrestling with questions of ethnic change, immigration. I look back at the things I was writing in the second Obama term, and it's just crazy. Things that are, not to pat ourselves on the back, but things that have now become total cliches. just getting savagely attacked for saying that Hispanics do not care about amnesty. This is not the issue. Just talking about the idea that there is a more balanced, sane approach to immigration that can build a kind of multi-ethnic, working-class conservative majority.
Right, because an important, just to clarify our own perspective,
yes.
Right? Like, we were immigration hawks
yes.
relative to George W. Bush and John McCain.
Yes.
Right? Our view was that securing the border and having some kind of skills-based immigration policy that limited low-skilled immigration was, one, the policy sweet spot, the place where you could have substantial immigration, but not at a rate that was sort of too disruptive, but also something that, as you just said, would appeal more to Hispanic voters, to a lot of,
exactly.
the descendants of recent immigrants, than just saying, oh, we're going to legalize everyone who's here and not open the border, because that wasn't, the open borders moment had not yet arrived on the political left. But at the very least, there was the conventional wisdom was that the Republican Party had to move substantially to the left on immigration.
Exactly. An argument was that a frank emphasis on the importance of assimilation and the idea that immigration policy should be in the national interest, that there was such a thing as too fast or too many, and that actually it was legitimate and not racist. And then to see Trump in this moment, it almost felt like, oh my gosh, there's going to be a backlash. He's going to talk about immigration in this way that is inciting, and it's going to be something that will jeopardize the formula, the coalition that we had hoped to see. We had a scheme, we had a plan for what it was going to look like, and then it actually happened in this much more chaotic way.
Right. I mean, our plan was Marco Rubio, let's say, or someone like him, reinventing himself as a kind of moderate restrictionist on immigration while having a more middle-class friendly agenda than Mitt Romney and winning a multi-ethnic blue-collar majority on that basis. Instead, we had Trump winning a minority of the popular vote president, making much darker, more sweeping, and again, in my view, more toxic appeals. But so then how, this is the core question, how did we get from there to here? Because in 2024, as I said at the outset, the Republican coalition looks like, not completely, but it looks like the coalition we imagined 20 years ago. But guess what? It was Donald Trump who did it. So how?